Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode here in NHL 21. So in last episode we had the draft and the re-sign stage, and we made a few adjustments to our roster, mostly just letting go of guys that we didn't need anymore, but our roster is looking pretty good going into next season, but we are going to be making some free agent signings to kind of make our team even stronger. So as you can see right now, we do got like Malkin, Bergeron, Houghton, Kuznetsov, Frolov, Klinge, which is some pretty good centers. We don't really have a whole lot of wingers. We got Kovalchuk and Ligachev as our left wingers, and we have four right wingers in Bork, Bure, Bark, and Bobrovsky. So we have a pretty good forward core for the most part, but we are going to improve it a little bit. And then our defense looks pretty good as well. As you can see, we got Wall, Gill, Martinez, Blugis, Conley, Brody, Edmonds, and even Guggenot. So our team is looking pretty good going into next season already at this stage. But like I said, we are going to make a few additions to make this team even better. So we do have a few comments before we get into those signings. So the first one is from Kagorodov. He says, I think we could scrap the add one D-man idea for now. And I totally forgot about Wall being an elite defender, so that problem was basically solved since the beginning, lol. He says, I guess you could bring in those young guys and dump some useless contracts to get them. Because at the end of last episode, there was a lot of young guys that I saw in free agency that I was really interested in bringing in. So we're going to bring in 4 of them, I think, just for additions to our roster, which means we're going to have to trade away some veterans from the AHL, and also I think I'm going to be trading away Hal Gill to replace him with a younger defenseman. And then the next and last comment is from HawksFan88. He says, definitely sign any low elite guy you could find. He also said, though, that the main one I would focus on is Henricius, I think his last name is. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Henricius or Henricius or something like that, but we're going to have to make a few trades first before we could get those guys in. So we need 4 contract spaces available for these guys, I think. So the first players that we're going to trade away is, like I said, Hal Gill. And then we're also going to have to try and move out one of the AHL defensemen just because, or AHL forwards, I think maybe it actually is. Because Hal Gill is still signed for, I think, one more season technically after this coming season. So we're going to add him to the trade. And then we're also going to add in defenseman. I think it was a defenseman, or was it a forward? It was somebody in the AHL. I just don't remember if he was a forward or a defenseman, but he was like 24 already, and he's not going to pan out. So he's one of those guys we need to move out. Let's sort by alphabetical order, because then I'll be able to find him easier. Yeah, there he is. The medium 7th D in is it Benoit Gratton? Bruce Gratton. He's 21 and 67, but he's only got 7th D potential, so he's not going to make it. So we're going to throw him into this trade. And we'll just trade him to the Ducks for like a pick or something. Like a 3rd round pick we should be able to get. Yeah, we should easily be able to get a 3rd rounder back, maybe even a 4th to this. If we can't, then we'll probably just do the 3rd. So 3rd and 4th for Gill and Gratton, and that is rejected, so let's remove the 4th. Still rejected. Sweeten the value just a touch. So let me add in one of those other pieces I need to move out, which I was thinking is going to be Hybert, who is in the AHL. He might be a left winger. Let me sort by alphabetical again. Maybe he's a right winger. Yeah, there he is. He's a bottom 6 forward, 22 years of age. We got too much like good AHL talent, so we're gonna let go of him as well, and we're just gonna throw him into this deal. And apparently that's still rejected, which is kind of weird. So maybe actually we could add hybrid. Actually, wait. I was thinking we could also trade away Richard Park because we're going to be replacing him with one of the younger free agents. So yeah, we'll throw Richard Park into this deal. And this should be way more than enough, but we should be able to easily get that 3rd round pick. And that one's accepted. So those are 3 of the guys I wanted to get rid of. It does suck to get rid of Richard Park because Richard Park was actually pretty good for us last season, but we need to free up those roster spots, and then we're also going to get rid of Hybert if we can. I'll try and trade him for like a 7th rounder to any team because he's not really worth anything. So if we go to giraffe picks and we go to a 7th rounder, yeah, we should be able to get a 7th for him. Yeah, we should be able to get a 7th rounder for Hybert. So let's see this, and that's accepted. Okay, so we got rid of 4 contracts that I needed to, and we do have a bunch of guys that are still RFAs, but they will sign with us shortly. Is in Baikov, Brzgalov, Malone, Breland, those type of things. Like, we don't really need a lot of these guys because they're all 24 years old or so, but yeah, they'll probably all re-sign with us on like a two-way deal, which means now we should have the contract space to sign these free agents that I wanted. So the first one is the defenseman, and that is Kondrativ. If we sort this by overall, actually we can't sort by lefty, which is really annoying, but he's an 81 overall. There he is, low elite potential. I don't know why LA, I think it was. Yeah, I don't know why LA let him go. Like, he looks like he's going to be a pretty solid player for the most part. So we are going to sign Kondrativ to a... Yeah, we'll give him like a 4-year deal. And let's just give him more money so he actually accepts for sure. 5.5 for 4 years is a good deal. He'll probably be like one of those guys that play with like Wall for a long time, I would assume. And then we're also going to sign that Henricius guy, or whatever his last name was. I don't even remember what his name was. There's also some other guys like Thurfel, but I think he's an RFA. So Henricius is going to be our signing. He was a former Edmonton Oiler. Also a pretty solid player, 43 points last season, but he was a minus 29. Probably on a bad team though. So we'll give him a 1-year deal just because then we could give him a long-term deal after just 1 year, and we'll give him 3.3. That gives us 2 players, and then the other 2 players that I'm going to bring in are 2 centermen, and those are Scavello and Eklund. So Scavello is right there, and Eklund is right there. Scavello is only 22 years old, which is pretty crazy, and Eklund's 24. We'll bring them both in. One of them might be a depth forward for us, maybe one of them is not. Maybe one's a 4th liner. But we'll sign you for 1 year at $2 million. And then we'll also sign Eklund for 1 year at $2 million. Or just maybe a little bit over that. So there you go. We should be able to get all those guys in and all of our RFAs that are currently qualified. So let's advance a few days and see if we can get those guys. And if we do, then we'll take a look at what the AIs sign in free agency, which should be kind of interesting to see who goes where. So Scavello has accepted, Eklund has accepted, Kondrativ has accepted, and Vesa Henrius, or yeah, I think it's Henricius, it's probably pronounced, accepts. So we get all 4 of those guys I wanted, which is really great news. Now our roster looks probably even better. So if we look at our forward core now, by overall, we got 3, that's our top line. This is probably our 2nd line. This is probably our 3rd line. This is probably our 4th line, and then we have like an extra depth guys, so we're looking pretty good on that front. And defensively, we have Wall and Kondrativ probably. We'd probably run Martinez and Connolly maybe. Blugis and Brody, and then Gugnaut probably will be sent back to the queue. And I think I'll run with like Isaiah Edmonds as our 7th defenseman. Maybe something like that. And then goaltending-wise still would be Price and Elliott. So those are our free agent signings we're going to make for this offseason. Let's sim to July the 31st so we could see all the AI signings and see if there's been any interesting ones, like any players going to teams they actually played for, because that would be the most interesting thing. So there's 1 of our RFAs, there's 2 of our RFAs, 3 of our RFAs, 4 of our RFAs. Gotta make sure all those RFAs accept. There's Gibbons, there's Brzgalov. I think we're still waiting on one of the goaltenders, if I'm not mistaken. There's Malone and Zikov. And yeah, I think we're still waiting on one of the goaltenders, which is Robbins, I think, because he's a 78, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just go to RFAs and make sure he's getting a contract. Yeah, he's the only one that's still holding out, so we're going to offer him a contract, and yeah, we'll just give him what he wants. But I think eventually we could move on from Brian Elliott and try Robbins, or we could just try and trade Robbins because his value would be higher, I think, than Brian Elliott's to an extent, but who knows. So there you go, there's a contract offer for that. Let's take a look at all those signings for the first month of free agency. We won't check for August because August usually has not that great of signings, but let's see what happened there. So trade-wise though, Ruslan Saleh got traded to St. Louis. Richard Park got traded right after we traded him. Interesting, goes to Chicago with Matthew Dandino for Jason Chimera in the 4th. So it looks like Richard Park might have been dealt like 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. Steve Stais was dealt to St. Louis. Interesting. Sheldon Keefe was dealt to Calgary. And Dackel was dealt to Tampa Bay. Also, sorry if my voice sounds weird. It's because it's a really, really hot day today. Today is like 39 degrees, and then I also just got my COVID shot, so... Anyways, let's take a look at those free agent signings. So, signing-wise, anything interesting? We'll read out the cool ones. Jimmy Howard signing in New Jersey on a 1-year deal. Interesting. Anything else kind of interesting to note? Connor Walchuk goes to Ottawa, okay. Mike Ricci to San Jose. I don't know if he was in San Jose last season or what, but he goes to a team that he actually played for. Jason Smith in LA. Ziggy Palffy goes to Europe. That kind of makes sense because in real life, once he was near the end of his career, he left to go back home in Slovakia, I think. Shane Knighty in New Jersey, okay. Ruslan Saleh signed in Nashville, but then he was dealt, I think, so. Anything else to have note? Thomas Malik, our former defenseman, signs a 3-year deal in Buffalo. Francis Cabrel in Montreal, Rob Niedermayer in Boston. Roman Hammerling goes to Tampa Bay where he started his career, so that's kind of cool. Brent Johnson in Ottawa. Stefan Yell, a former player of ours, signs a 2-year deal in Tampa Bay. He didn't even play a single game with us, though, I don't think so. But we did have him because we traded for him last offseason. Ryan Miller signs in Edmonton. It's kind of weird. Zhitnik in Colorado. Mark Denis in New Jersey. Anything else to bring up? Willie Mitchell in the Islanders. Okay. Patrick Stefan signs in Detroit. Interesting. Our former pick, Vili Kolymainen, signs in Ottawa. Dan Blackburn to Washington. Scott Young to Edmonton. What else do we got here? Brent Sobel there to San Jose. Keith Tkachuk goes to Europe as well. Sean Avery to Phoenix. PJ Axelson to Carolina. Alex Day goes to Tampa Bay where he was, I think, in real life for a little bit. Doug Waite resigns in St. Louis on a 1-year deal. A lot of signings. Owen Nolan to the Islanders. Matt Cook to Phoenix as well. Don't know if Deke Slayer would like that. Sean Bates to St. Louis. Scott Walker to LA. What else we got here? Philippe Boucher, not the actual Philippe Boucher, but a center Philippe Boucher goes to Carolina. Sabrikin to Detroit. Martin Brodeur signed with the Buffalo Sabres on a 2-year deal. That is a little bit weird. Was hoping he would sign with St. Louis, but that didn't happen. Kimmo Timonen to Toronto. Dan Clear to the Rangers. Joe Corvo to Europe. And I think that's pretty much it. Kuba to Anaheim. Roosevelt to Toronto. Our former defenseman Tremblay signs in San Jose. Tuukka Rask gets a 1-year deal in Philadelphia. He might have been an RFA though, so. And I think that might be it. Yuri Lennon in St. Louis. Actually, Brunette in Toronto. Arnott in Calgary. My God. Stephen Weiss in Colorado. Verada in Vancouver. Lidman signs in Anaheim where he was in real life. So that's cool. Brian Rafalski also signs in Buffalo. Maybe that's what swayed Brodeur to go there. Thomas Vokoun goes to Calgary. Kozlov goes to Toronto. And Frolov goes to St. Louis. So a lot of players going to Toronto, it seems like. But anyways, I'm going to make a jump cut to next season, and I will show you guys our edited lines, and then we'll sim a little bit of the next season. So see you guys in a second. Okay guys, so here is our lineup going into the next season. So we got Malkin, Bergeron, Kovalchuk still. Second line, Bork, Houghton, and Henrichus. We could always change it up between him and Likachev. And then third line, Likachev, Kuznetsov, and Bure. And fourth line, Bobrovsky, Eklund, and Frolov. As for our defense, we got Kondrayev and Wall, which actually have a +3 chemistry, so that's pretty nice. We also got Martinez and Blugis, and then Brody and Connolly. So a pretty good defensive core, I would say. And then goaltending-wise, we got Carey Price and Brian Elliott. And depth-wise, we got Scavello and Isaiah Edmonds. We could always try and play Isaiah Edmonds as a forward if we want to, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. Because we do also have Jalen Kemp, who technically is almost NHL ready. So he's going to be probably on the fourth line next season. Mateo Clinch, who's usually a depth option for us, is down in the AHL, so I actually might call him up right now as another depth option. Just because that way it gives some AHL players actual time to play. So we'll call up Clinch for now as a depth option. And we'll go back to best lines down there in the AHL. But our AHL team has some really good players like Wolski, who's that low late that I mentioned that was in the 7th round. He is literally almost NHL ready. So him and Kemp probably will crack our roster next season, which means guys like, for example, Frolov could be potentially on his way out. Maybe we don't bring back Bure this offseason, that type of thing. So that's kind of an interesting note. Also, like Easton Hillen is almost ready, which is pretty awesome. Like we're getting some really good prospect growth in our AHL system. There's our defense, and there is our goaltending. Jackson Robbins is listed as a backup goaltender now, so we got to start thinking about moves potentially for maybe Brian Elliott, or we could always just trade away Jackson Robbins because we might not need him. So anyways, that's what our roster looks like going into this next season. Hopefully we are a good team again this year. We should be, because we have some pretty good depth. We are listed as a buyer as well, so I do have some high expectations for this team to an extent. So now that that is done, let's simulate a few months. We'll probably go to December the 1st or January the 1st in this episode. I don't know, yeah, maybe January the 1st, just so we could get a decent chunk of the year done, and we could kind of see how our team is doing at that point. So let's get the preseason done first. And let's view our owner goals. What did it change to? They want us to make the first round of the playoffs, which we should be able to do, considering last year we made it to round 2. But then again, we did take on a very bad New York Rangers team in that first round. So let's see what happens in this preseason. We started it off good, but then we dropped 3 of our last 3 games. So we finished 4-3 in the preseason. Who led us in points? It's going to be Houghton with 7 points in 7 games. Nice. He had a really good year last year, so I'm expecting some good stuff from Houghton. And since he's playing with like Bork and Henricius, he should be setting those 2 guys up quite a bit, I would assume. Okay, let's go to our first game of the season, which is a home game against the Calgary Flames. Kind of weird because Calgary's in the West and we're in the East, but interesting. So let's go to the end of this first month. We do got a game against Buffalo, which has there are new additions in Martin Brodeur, as well as like Brian Rafalski and stuff like that. So Valerie Bird gets injured with a concussion already, so we'll just go replace player. But we start off the season with 2 losses, but we bounce back with 2 wins, which is good. Jalen Wall was never injured. Don't know why it's saying he was. There is 3 straight wins, and there's a 10-3 loss to the Rangers. So we allow 10 goals against a team that just barely made the playoffs last year, which is ridiculous. So throw Bure back in, and there we go. I don't know how we let in 10 goals against Rangers. Maybe the Rangers are a new look team this year. As Kondratyov, who we just signed in this offseason, breaks his nose. He's out till November the 14th. That's not good. But kind of a back and forth month to start off the season. We finished 6-4 because we are now on a 3-game winning streak all of a sudden. And so far, Kovalchuk's leading our team in points with 12 points in 10 games, which is pretty good. Only 4 goals, but still 12 points in 10 games. I'll take it. We are currently in that last wildcard spot, but there is a lot of teams with 12 points. Not that that matters already at this stage, but still. Let's go another month and see how we do so far. Month of November to December the 1st. Hopefully this team can continue winning some games like they did to end that month. There's a couple losses in a row. Yikes. I don't even know why our team is not similar as well as last year so far. Who was it that came back? Christie. That's right. Christie was where Steen was, I think. Oh no, it was where Malone was. It's hard to remember where a lot of the AHL guys were because I don't really focus on the AHL as much as I probably should. But yeah, this is a really weird start to the year, as Kondratyov is back, which is good news. Because that put in Isaiah Edmonds, and he actually had 3 assists in 8 games, which is pretty good. Like I said, I might want to try him as a forward at some point. Like, he could just be a random 4th liner that's very offensively minded. But yeah, this is a really weird season so far. We're below 500, but we're kind of keeping it close to an extent, as Bure goes down with a concussion now until December the 22nd. So that's over a month, or exactly a month. And now Wolski in the AHL goes down. My God, we're getting slammed with injuries as Murray Blue just goes down with a fractured ankle. Yikes. Yeah, these injuries are kind of trying to make us miss the playoffs, I feel like. But who knows? We do win 2 games in a row since those injuries. We are now 11-11 and 2-1 on the season. 27 points in 25 games for Patrice Bergeron. But our team has been slammed with injuries. Let me just see. Yeah, Bure and Blue just are out. So that puts Scavello in, who's been not very great. And who was the other one that was in? Probably, yeah, Edmonds. Yeah, Edmonds has been actually pretty solid. He's a +5, but it could be just because he's playing in the top 6. And he actually has really good chemistry with Martinez. So maybe at some point, Blugis or somebody like Brody is on their way out. Who knows? Because maybe Isaiah Edmonds is a better fit for our blue line because he actually has good chemistry with our team. Okay, let's simulate one more month, and then we'll take a look at our player stats and stuff for the season so far. But it's been kind of a weird year so far. We could all of a sudden just go on a big losing streak and probably miss the playoffs, or we could all of a sudden just go on a big winning streak and be top of our division. You never know. So let's go to January the 1st. Then we'll take an updated look on everybody's player stats and see how we are situated. So Malone, you're going to come back out for Wolski. I'm pretty excited to see how Wolski is when he gets to the NHL, even though he doesn't have great passing stats and shooting stats for a 92 offensive awareness player. He might end up being a decent scorer, who knows. So we started it off with a win, and now Reed Conley's went down with an injury. We'll go replace player. There's a 6-6 tie, and now Houghton has fractured his jaw. Literally, we've suffered like 4 injuries. We have to actually call somebody up now. So I guess we will call up Jalen Kemp because he doesn't go through waivers, since he's our best forward option available. And that means we got to move Kuznetsov up, which he doesn't have good chemistry with, so we'll move Skivello up, I guess. We'll move Bobrovsky up since he has chemistry there, and then we will throw Kemp in on this line. And he actually has some good chemistry, so that's a good thing. So let's throw him in there. And then we'll just go best lines in the AHL. At least Jalen Kemp's getting a chance to prove himself here in the NHL with all these injuries, but we are getting pretty slammed. So we'll take Clinge back out. We'll throw in Connolly. And I won't send down Kemp just yet. I will send him down once we have to. There's an OT loss against Tampa Bay as Houghton is back, which means Kemp is going to be sent down. He had 2 assists in 4 games, which is pretty good for the amount of ice time he was getting. So we'll throw Houghton back in, which means going like this and then going back to that. And then, yeah, we got to send Kemp back down to the AHL and make sure to put him back in the lineup because I don't want to forget about that. Because I've done that in the past where I call up a player and then I completely forget about putting them back into the AHL lines. So we'll go best lines down here in the AHL again. There we go. And we are good to go. Easton Hillen was back to full health. That's good. There's a shutout win against Carolina as another AHL player breaks his foot. I feel like we've had like 5 or 6 or maybe even 8 injuries already this season, which is kind of ridiculous. So Bure is back. There you go. Seems like Bure is kind of like getting a little bit more injury prone near the end of his career, which is not good. Game against San Jose is a loss, so we are 15-17, 4-2 at January the 1st, which is a really weird record. We could still kind of choose our own fate to an extent. We are 4 points only above last place in our division, and there's only 7 points separating last and second place, and only 8 points separating last and first place. So our division is very tight, and it's going to be a very interesting case if we could actually make the playoffs down the stretch. Let's take a look at our player stats so far for the season and our team stats, and then that will be it for this episode. But we might want to make some trades next episode. We might not. Who knows? Maybe we just want to see it play out. So Bergeron's over point per game with 42 points in 38 games, which is pretty good. He's a plus 11 as well. Malkin 35 points in 38 games. Kuznetsov only 22 points and only a plus 1. So seems like the third line and second line have been out there for a lot of goals against. Houghton's got 21 points, which is pretty good. Frolov only 11 points and a minus 13. So it seems like our fourth line might be a bit of a problem. We might want to address that. Skivello's got 6 points in 17 games and minus 2. Eklund's a minus 9 with 3 points. And in Clinge, no points in 3 games. Left wing wise, Kovalchuk's got 40 points in 38 games. Likachev 18 points. So Likachev is very inconsistent because he wasn't good when we acquired him in 2025-26. Last season he was really good. And in this year, I don't know if he's getting power play time. Yeah, he might not be getting power play time, but his point total is way down. So we might want to put him on the power play if he's not on there already. Henrichus has got 17 points, only 5 goals, which is kind of weird for a sniper. Right wing wise, Bobrovsky's only got 15 points, so it seems like a lot of our guys that had good years last year are kind of struggling a bit this year. Bork has only got 14 points. Is he on the power play? Yeah, he is. Seems like our power play really took a hit after Richard Park left. Because, yeah, Bork had 50 points. Now he's dropped down to 14 points. And his ice time is up by 4 minutes. So that's kind of concerning to an extent. Bure only 12 points in 21 games. Yeah, I don't think we're scoring enough goals. Maybe that's our problem. Kondratyov, though, has been pretty good. 16 points in 30 games. Wald's got 8. Martinez, 8. Edmonds, 7 and 23. Brody, 5 and a minus 13. Yikes. And then Belugis, 3. And Connolly, 3. Yeah, it seems like we're not scoring enough goals. Brian Elliott and Carey Price have been pretty bad as well. So, I don't know if last season was just a fluke, but our team is not looking too good so far. Let's take a look at the team stats just to see if we've been struggling on our power play or anything. So currently in the entire league, we are, where are we? We're 25th best in the NHL, which is not good. Goals for per game, we are scoring 2.95, which is not good enough. It's near the bottom half. And then goals against per game, yeah, we're one of the worst in terms of defense as well. We're allowing too much. Our power play is only clicking at 9.2% this year, which is the worst in the NHL. Last year, I think it was one of the best, if I'm not mistaken. And our penalty kill is also one of the worst. So, this team needs to make some adjustments for sure. Like, we need to get our special teams going. We need to get our offense going, our defense playing better at 5-on-5 even. Like, if we go to our lines, let's take a look at our special teams. Let's readjust this a bit. Yeah, let's go something like this. And then we will move Houghton into here. I don't know if I really want Frolov on the power play, to be honest. We could go Bobrovsky at the point there. Because I think Bobrovsky has decent shooting, right? Yeah, he has pretty solid shooting, but who's the best shooter on this power play? It's probably, yeah, it's Bure. So we'll put Bure on the point. And then we will take Frolov and Eklund both out. I don't know why they're on the power play. And we will throw in Kondratyov on the top unit. And I will throw in Wall on the second unit. Because I think we need a defenseman on the power play. And then we will readjust this as well. Do something like this maybe. And once again, actually, yeah, we'll move Bork up. And we'll take Kuznetsov off this one. And once again, we will throw in Kondratyov. And we will throw in Wall on the second unit. And that should be good. Penalty kill wise, I don't really want to make any adjustments there, I don't think. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Hopefully that helps our power play unit going into next episode, because it has been horrible. Let me take a quick look at the trading block just in case you guys want me to make some trades for next episode, and then that will be it for this one. A lot of prospects in Anaheim, some veterans like Samsonov, Marchand, and Nedved in Boston, more prospects in Buffalo, more prospects in Calgary, Vesatoskal in Carolina. It's interesting. Doesn't seem like really a whole lot of stuff on the block at this stage, so we might have to just wait till the trade deadline to make our decision if we want to just let our team play out for the year or trade away some of the younger guys. But I feel like these younger guys are going to develop better, so we might want to hold on to them, because a lot of these veterans are just going to start dropping off. Visnovsky, yeah, I don't really know what we would even trade for if we wanted to. Like, maybe we trade away a defenseman. Because, like, who was it? Was it Brody that was, like, a minus 13? Maybe we traded him away because he's a defensive liability. I don't know. But I just don't know what the problem is with our team at this rate. Because we're not scoring enough. We're not playing good on defense. And Scott Gomez is in New York. When did he go to the New York Rangers in this? Are you kidding me? He followed his actual footsteps of real life in around the exact same stage. I think actually the exact same year. That's actually really insane. Because literally, like, I think, yeah, this would be technically the 2007-08 season, and I believe that was the first year Scott Gomez went to the New York Rangers. That is actually kind of nuts to see an actual thing like that happen in a game. So yeah, it looks like the Rangers made a lot of additions since last time we played them in the playoffs. Pittsburgh's got more picks on the block. San Jose's got some prospects that we don't really need. Russon Slay in St. Louis, Semenov as well, Pirieta, Sutton and Steos. More prospects in Tampa Bay. Toronto's offloading all their veterans that they signed pretty much in the offseason. Timonen, Roosevelt. I think they brought Horkov in a few years ago. And then Kozlov and Dimitra. Vancouver's got some prospects as well. And then Washington's got some picks. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Atlanta Thrashers franchise mode. So in next episode, we will sim probably the rest of the season and see how this team plays out. But right now, it's been a little bit of a weird year. So let me know what you guys think down below. And I'll see you guys next time.